Welcome back to the Alliance Open. I am BBP, and I am joined with Elise Randolph, and we are actually having a little tiny bit of a delay due to a disconnect. However, that gives us lots and lots of time to talk about all of these wonderful and interesting ships that we see on grid with us. Elise, tell me a little bit about these guys.
All right, so everyone's going to keep their eye on Taunton Rage, right? We saw Seven Sins take the hull tanked Navy Mega Comp, and it looked like Taunton Rage threw the team on his back and almost like 1v8 the opponent team. So they put him in a Loki now. It's going to be a Web Ham Loki. We've seen this before for different teams. Very, very strong. A lot of DPX. You're talking triple Nighthawks, all with hams, double Lokis with webs and hams, a Blackbird for extra control, the Jackdaws because everyone loves their Jackdaws, and then Kieran's for reps.
And they are up against the Initiative, who has brought a couple of Leshaks, an Eos, a Hugin, two Spipples, two Vexers, and two Deacons, which is something we've seen a few times. The double Leshak is a very, very powerful setup in general, but I kind of feel that Seven Sins might have brought something that's going to be really strong against that.
Yeah, so they've got so much DPS that they can actually chew through one of these Leshaks before they can really ramp up and start doing that amazing damage that they're capable of doing. So if the Nighthawks and Lokis don't get controlled too hard by Exant and his Hugin, just expect a lot of damage on one of these Leshaks early on.
And that's true. And they also, Seven Sins did bring a Blackbird, which is one of the banes of the Leshak's existence. One jam can make it so that whatever it's shooting, it gets its ramp up reset. The match is starting in about 20 seconds. Personally, I'm not sure if Toten Rage is going to be able to pull off quite an amazing performance in a Loki. I'm kind of hoping. I'm going to pay attention to him.
Yeah, they warped in at like pretty okay angles for what they want to do. They're not, in a straight line, but they're not too far from one another, and they're not too close either. I think both teams are actually quite happy with the way the warp in came in, especially the Seven Sins, who just want to rush in early on and grab one of these Leshaks. As I say that, the Seven Sins team is pulling back. Both teamers are actually pulling back, trying to wait it out, play a little bit more cautious, make their opponent make a mistake.
Yeah, it's a little interesting because both Leshaks and, of course, the 5 ham ships that Seven Sins have do kind of need to be relatively close to each other to do damage. I'm wondering if they're going to try. I was hoping to maybe see some interesting MJD thing, but it looks like Melinda is actually on her way in with the Leshak. Maybe a little bit out ahead now that I'm looking at it. Maybe they decided they got bored. Like, we're committing, we're going in. Rest of you guys better back me up.
Yeah, so the Seven Sins had said, we're pulling all of our core ships back, and we're going to throw these Jackdaws out front. And it looks like they're also throwing some damage onto Sveeples and Deacons, just seeing if they can get anything. Maybe these aren't actually ham Nighthawks. Maybe they're heavy missile Nighthawks. Did I just not know what a heavy missile looks like?
They look like hams to me. I think that they don't have that little spikiness. That'd be kind of cool if they were heavy missile or rapid light, but I'm almost positive they are hams. I think they're just kind of poking at each other. They did take shields down, but the Initiative is running an armor setup. So just because the shields are down, that doesn't really mean anything here.
Yeah, so we see the Initiative. They're staying composed here. They're inching closer and closer and closer towards the Seven Sins team. They're not rushing in. They're not sending one guy in way too far ahead. They're just moving as a unit, corralling the Seven Sins into this corner over here and forcing them to make a decision.
It's really a good call to see. Initiative is being very, very smart and just kind of staying together, very, very compact. They have their screening ship set up behind them so they can catch these Jackdaws. You can see that the Jackdaws of Seven Sins are kind of off to the side in a position, maybe looking for that dive in. However, the Blackbird of Seven Sins has been webbed down, most likely by the Hugin, and is actually taking a massive amount of damage.
Yeah, he is just getting plastered right now. Initiative sparing no expense going after this Blackbird. They want it off the field. They don't like cheeky webs going off on their Deacons or their Hugins or any linchpin ships, so they want to get this out of the way fast. He's got no armor left. Let's see if Toten Rage can give him a little bit of his power to survive. But I mean, this Blackbird's pretty weak going on, and they're just ramping up damage on him more and more.
And it's really smart target calling from the Initiative because if the Blackbird jams Leshaks, the only thing Leshaks can shoot are the Blackbird. So they can't really shut down the Leshak DPS except by pulling range on it. And that Blackbird, I can't tell if he's propless or if he just forgot how to turn his afterburner on, but he's only moving at about 200 ms. He's not really that much faster than the Leshaks. However, Melinda is taking a ton of damage right now in their Leshak, and that is kind of what you would expect from this many ham ships.
Yeah, so this is what Seven Sins were waiting for as well. They managed to stabilize in their Blackbird, but Blackbird making us fools. And there are just so many webs on Melinda's one Leshak. And as we suggested might happen, the Nighthawks and the Lokis are just rushing in to apply that damage to try and get this Leshak off the field. Melinda's holding for now, but the Nighthawks need to get a little bit closer. I think one or two of them are still out of range here.
And it looks, I think the Blackbird was able to escape. So the Leshaks, they're attempting to go after Kane Carnifex and maybe doing a little bit of damage to the Jackdaw, but I only see one of the Leshaks shooting at Kane, which makes me guess that those Blackbird jams are starting to do work. A little bit of damage spread all over the place. Actually, the Blackbird just took a huge chunk of damage.
Yep, and the Blackbird's gone. Another neat thing that I might be reading into this too much, but the Leshak of the Paladin on the initiative side has kind of gotten between the Nighthawks and Melinda and start to smart bomb to try and kill some of those incoming damage from the missiles coming out. But the Seven Sins teams, they're just like, oh, you're getting a little bit closer? Okay, you're dead now. So now they're just tearing into this Leshak of the Paladin. It's not bait tanking right now. He is trying to hold on for dear life, and he is definitely going down.
Yeah, he is bleeding structure. It's not quite as fast as some of these other kills we've seen, but I don't think that they're going to last that long. It might be a trade for the Loki for the Leshak, though, and if that Loki dies first, that might be just enough DPS for the Leshak to hold on.
Yeah, that's actually a really good trade for the initiative. They, as you mentioned, this Leshak has literally 2% structure remaining, but he got that Ham Loki out of the way. That's not only damage and quite a bit of it, but it's also webs, it's control, it's things like this. And now the initiative are focusing their eye onto Totenraids. They know what power this guy can do. They know how he can force other people to make mistakes. And props to the Paladin for living as long as he did. You got so much out of it. You got a Loki, a Blackbird, and 3/4 of another Loki, and you got the Seven Sins Kieran tackled.
Unfortunately, the Paladin does go down. It was kind of a foregone conclusion there. It's really unlikely that you survive all the way through that. But as there's no more Blackbird, there's no way to shut down the Melinda's Leshak, which has been ramping up on Toten Rage this entire time. It is entirely possible that he is going to get pushed through and go down.
Yeah, and that would be a huge win for the initiative team because they need to start clearing some of this damage, right? You've got the 3 Nighthawks out here, which can pump out just tons of damage, but very smart to go after these Lokis. Because the Lokis provide webs, right? When this match goes longer and longer, the initiative say, hey, we might not have that much DPS left, but we have all the control once these Lokis are gone, because they will have Sweeples and a Hugin to just pin the Seven Sins team down and just kite them around.
And while this Loki is going down, the Swipples of Initiative are actually in the back line, sitting directly on top of one of the Kierans. And I think they were basically able to just kind of duo PvP him down back there. So now not only is Toten Rage extremely low, he only has one Kieran repping him now. And I think he's going to drop down to this Leshak, which might be enough that the Leshak of the Initiative just won't go down for the rest of this fight.
Yeah, Major Scythe and the Kieran had to make a decision. Do I, survive? Or rather, Space Rigger had to make a decision. Do I keep my buddy alive in the Kieran, or do I try and keep the Loki alive a little bit longer to put some damage on that? He chose to go for all-out damage, so he kept Toten Rage repped. They're like, our best chance is to keep this guy alive. But no, he's now down. So the 2 Kierans are down for the Seven Sins team. Huge development here.
Yeah, the Swipples were able to kind of sneak around to the back and just do some really serious damage. And, now we have 3 Nighthawks and 2 Jackdaws against a relatively intact initiative team. Nighthawks are really, really, really high DPS, but I'm not really sure. It does still look like Melinda is bleeding armor just a little bit. And because of the amount of points that those Leshaks are, if that Leshak goes down before they can take a Nighthawk out, it is entirely possible that Initiative will still lose this just on points alone, as there's only about 2 minutes and 30 seconds left.
I mean, the Initiative, like a support wing, they're doing great work here, right? You mentioned that they got the Kierans down. They're going after the Jackdaws down. They're not worried too much about losing their Leshak. They say, hey, we've got dominance. We've got a Hugin. We've got our entire support wing going on. So, just good decision making through and through. They know that they can clear out these jackdaws and then just pin and kite these Nighthawks with their Hugin.
It is going to be really close. I'm making a guess that Gert is going to probably go down to this Svipple setup, but that will put initiative at 49 points to 50 with 2 minutes left. And at this point, I'm guessing that the EOS has pretty heavy DPS and the Svipples do. I'm probably betting that those Vexers may have at most a single flight of light drones. So this is going to come down to, can initiative burn through a Nighthawk, which is a pretty dang tanky Super Drake, in 1 minute and 30 seconds? I'm guessing probably yes, but you never know. And that EOS is starting to take a pretty decent chunk of damage themselves.
Yeah, the EOS is. I mean, the EOS recently got buffed, right? Not even 2 patches ago. So it does a little bit more DPS now. It's less survivable, less tanky. They tried to bring it up in line with the other command ships. So now this is really a race against the clock. Can this EOS do enough damage to kill this Nighthawk? I think he'll be able to. As you can see, the Nighthawks, they're all pinned down. Every single one of them is webbed. The primary is nuded, Nos, scrammed. He is not getting away from this. No cheeky MJD plays are available to him. He just has to sit there and die, right? As the DPS-free initiative fleet still has their support wing that can apply, not 2 Leshak's worth of damage, sure, but they can still kill you.
And they can, and they do take down that last Nighthawk, probably the last ship that is going to die here. All 3 Nighthawks were scrammed relatively far apart from each other, which was a really good call on the initiative's part. There's never really a target all 3 of them could hit. So it was a very, very close game. It lasted, I would say, probably the last minute and a half. There was a chance that Nighthawk could have lived, maybe if there had been some rep drones left alive, maybe if there was anything else. But, initiative, that was a very, very strong performance against a team that I would say is kind of designed to kill them.
Yeah, exactly. I'd say the Seven Sins team really chose their ships very, very well here. They chose a very strong comp. And I'm sure the initiative, their palms are a little bit sweaty when they saw what was coming to them, right? The Sveeple dies just right at the end there. Almost a nail biter. But, initiative, they hold on 66 to 54, just 12 points, keeping them out of being eliminated. Really well done by them. Really well done by their support wing. And we have to bid, unfortunately, Toten Rage a farewell. He was very much the Cinderella story for me for today.